Have you ever got home from a hard day and played your favourite sad songs in hopes that by the end of the song you'll feel a bit lighter? We live in an online generation ruled by trends and older generations who don't quite understand it all. They see the news and blame the phones or the music. But what if the music's actually helping and the trends are just the same need to conform that's always been around? Sad music seems to be more popular than ever at the minute, from artists like Fiona Apple to more modern examples like Billie Eilish. The reflective melodies seem to stick to social media algorithms and resonate with Gen Z. But what is sad girl music? The term sad girl music is a newly developed subgenre to describe music with themes of teenage angst, identity and grief. The origins of this genre is closely linked to the 1990s, with artists like Fiona Apple and Alanis Morissette. Technically, sad girl music can be any genre. What determines whether it is worthy of the title, sad girl, mainly depends on the themes of the song. Usually the instrumentals are calming, but not necessarily what draws the listener in. People within this genre tend to use their voice as a form of expression, not necessarily trying to be vocally impressive. Just before getting into this video, I do want to put a warning out that I will be discussing triggering topics due to the relevance of mental health and misogyny that often come up in discourse about this music. I will be putting timestamps on the screen so you can skip those parts if needed. There will also be a link in the description to support if you feel affected by anything in this video. Look after yourself and don't be afraid to reach out if needed. What are the common themes in sad girl music? These themes often go deeper than they first appear. Many listeners are young adults who relate to the emotional honesty in the music, finding comfort in hearing experiences and feelings that are often difficult to express. Artists within this genre are often highly vulnerable in their songwriting, sharing personal experiences in a way that creates emotional connection, and for some listeners, a sense of understanding or safety. Most of Gen Z, including myself, have grown up through a pandemic and social isolation. And music has become our way of identifying ourselves. Many online trends focus on music and aesthetics. Lana Del Rey is seen as a pioneer for this type of music, often writing about existential ideas and relationship problems. Lana Del Rey originally gained popularity with her debut single, Video Games, in 2011. The song Video Games centres itself around romanticising simple parts of your life, like playing video games with your boyfriend. This idea of romanticising life, no matter how mundane, is part of the aesthetic that comes with sad girl music. But when artists like Lana Del Rey and Fiona Apple have a discography full of songs about mental health and their experiences with traumatic events such as sexual assault, depression and alcohol misuse, when does romanticisation become a problem? Fiona Apple, an artist I've previously mentioned, has written multiple songs filled with raw emotion. And at first listen, it may appear to romanticise these feelings. A closer listen shows that the songs are deep reflections of feelings that most people can relate to. Many of Fiona Apple's songs don't follow the same format as a story, for example. There is no resolution, which is why so many people relate to the music. It doesn't force a happy ending, it just lets you exist in the feelings. Research shows that romanticising aspects of your life can be shown to reduce depression and mental health problems. Writing about taboo topics often makes the listener feel more connected to the artist and allows a safe place for people who have experienced similar things. Music has become a coping mechanism. It allows people to explore and sit in their emotions without having to directly respond to the problem. From a psychological perspective, science suggests that despite the benefits, sad music may cause mental health to worsen over time as people begin to ruminate. Rumination, also known as maladaptive rumination, is a tendency for the mind to continuously circle back to negative thought patterns without really coming to any kind of resolution. Psychologists separate maladaptive rumination into two categories. Reflective rumination, which is where the individual turns inwards to try and understand themselves and the world around them. When balanced, this is usually seen as a strength, and it may be what a lot of people do when they listen to sad music. The second kind of rumination is known as brooding rumination. Brooding rumination describes the same pattern of dwelling, but without any solution. It is usually distressing and can lead to poor mental health. The problem is that this genre of music can easily cause a person to fall into brooding rumination. And most people don't know when they're slipping into brooding rumination. You may think that you're being productive by reflecting on yourself or on circumstances. I actually conducted my own survey, and 25% of people mentioned that they feel worse after listening. The problem is that the brain starts to reward rumination with dopamine, which can make it feel so addictive. That's why when a lot of people overthink on a night time, they struggle to sleep, because the brain wants you to keep going. But why do so many people feel better after listening? Well, first, maybe the older generations are right in a way, because social media clearly pushes the genre, which encourages more people to listen. Current events have affected the way that people relate to music and the way that people listen. Many people feel a shared sense of grief when it comes to world issues, especially ones that we can't control. And the music connects to us in that grief. A more psychological explanation can link to a protein hormone in the brain. This hormone is called prolactin, and one of its functions is to respond to mood changes. Prolactin usually increases when a person cries, for example. It makes a person feel relaxed and calm. Because we all have empathy, the brain can release prolactin when just listening to sad media, explaining why sad music can feel so addictive, because it gives us this relaxed feeling. In conclusion, it's clear that sad music can, and often does, have different effects on different people. But we all have one thing in common. We all want to feel a part of something. And we all want to find safe ways to reflect. In a generation that favours reflection and authenticity, it makes sense why people would look for that in the music that they listen to. So maybe the genre of music isn't the issue, but instead a refusal to reflect on topics that are seen as societally taboo. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I'd like to once again bring attention to the links in my bio. Please reach out if you do need support, and look after yourself. What do you think about sad music? How does it make you feel? Let me know in the comments, because I genuinely like to engage in a conversation about this, because me personally, I find it really interesting. So